is the Martha Zoller Show, and we're so happy to have Julie Wickman Selander with me today. And she has a new venture for kids called Roots and Wings. And so we've been talking about serious stuff and all of that, but this is a very serious issue, but it's a happy solution to a really serious issue. Julie, welcome.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you for having me today.
So tell us a little bit about Roots and Wings.
So Roots and Wings Ranch is a nonprofit, and my husband and I became foster parents a couple of years ago, and we quickly learned the challenges going on with DFACs. I'm not here to bash DFACs by any means. They definitely do a great job, but they have their hands full. So we created a nonprofit to help children who have no chance of going back home to mom or dad and, becoming foster parents. That is the number one goal, is reunification with mom and dad. However, there are many children whose parents could be in jail, passed away. They're not able to be adopted. So there's about 20% of our Georgia foster children who need a home. So our goal in creating Roots and Wings Ranch is to create homes where there's a mom and a dad that raise these children and provide them with love, stability, teach them life skills, help them go to college, and really give them hope and a vision for their future.
So where are you in this process right now?
We are in the beginning phases, to be honest. So we got our 501c3 approved last year, and we are fundraising. We are happy to announce, and the focus of what I wanted to talk to you about today and your viewers, we, thank goodness, became a qualifying foster child support organization. And Governor Kemp signed House Bill 424 back in 2022, and he can allocate $20 million to go to these qualified foster child support organizations. So instead of businesses paying their taxes to Georgia and not knowing where those tax dollars are being spent, they can send it to organizations like ours, Roots and Wings Ranch, and it's not a donation, it's just an allocation. So that $20 million is sitting there for things like the ranch. And this $20 million, which is the House Bill 424, it's for children who are aging out of foster care. Because if you look at the statistics with the children aging out, they're terrible. I mean, their children are homeless. They have no ways to go to college, even though it is free. Senate Bill 107 provides free college tuition for foster children. But where are they going to live? How are they going to pay for their books? So this bill, the $20 million, allows children and places like ours to have, the means to help them with books and tuition and things like that.
So in your perfect world, as Roots and Wings grows or takes flight,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Are you seeing that you would care for foster kids all the way through that college experience?
All the way through.
Right.
And Martha, 5% of our youth are going to college. 5% of foster children versus 60% of non-foster children. So we're looking for corporate partners who are interested. You think about your tax dollars. Wouldn't it be nice to tell the governor, hey, I want my tax dollars to go here? And with this bill, you can allocate your tax dollars to Roots and Wings Ranch, and we can show you exactly where your tax dollars are being spent.
Well, and honestly, I'm on the State Board of Education. I don't know that everybody... I don't think we need 60% of people to go to college.
Right.
I think it's more like 30%, and the rest need to go to some kind of technical thing. Although I'm a firm believer in college education. I believe that having a good foundational education that's broad, liberal arts, if you use the word. I mean, I know that's a dirty word because people don't understand what it means anymore, but to have a good broad base of education that you have to be a member of society. Right. One of the big problems we have today is that people only know their little minuscule view of the world.
Right.
And they don't really understand how we got to where we are as a country, as a nation, as a world. And there's a lot of re-education that needs to go on, and I don't mean that in the negative way, but I'm excited about what you're doing because I, for a long time, have felt that, why, yes, in a perfect world, the foster care system is the best way to deal with kids who don't have parents, but we don't live in a perfect world.
Right.
And when you have kids that are going to be on average in 11 homes in the course of their foster care, then all we're teaching them is not to trust anybody.
Exactly.
And if you can't trust people, you can't function in the world. Love is extremely important, but trust has to come before love. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And if you can love somebody that you don't trust, but you can't trust somebody and not love them. You know what I mean? It kind of all goes together. So I think it's exciting what you're doing.
Thank you. And we are super excited because my husband and I live in Hall County, and I'm hoping that Hall County can set the vision for what it could look like in the state. There's nothing like what we're trying to do in the state of Georgia. And here we have Lanier Tech, we have UNG. So we have the ability for these kids, to get into a trade school, like you mentioned. I think it's great. And I agree, college is not for everybody, but go to a trade school, go, become a plumber or electrician. And so
and then you make $100,000 a year right out of school.
Right out of school and go for 2 years. So to
be a welder,
yeah,
it's great. And I would think, are there more boys than girls in this system?
It's about equal.
It's about equal.
It's
so
about
that's
equal.
that's is encouraging. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are thinking, well, this sounds like Eagle Ranch. And I know you get that question. So tell us about that.
Yes, we do get that question. And Eddie at Eagle Ranch has done an amazing job. And he's been a great mentor.
He's a wonderful person. He's one of the good guys.
He is. He's a great guy. So Eagle Ranch, their vision is a little bit different than ours. So our goal is to provide kids, again, with a loving, stable home who don't have a mom and a dad. Versus Eagle Ranch, they have parents. The parents work with Eddie and his organization to get back on track and become that family unit. So it's similar because we have house parents and Eddie has house parents, but Eddie keeps the children for up to 2 years. And with our ranch, we'll have the kids. It could be from 6 years up until they're 21 and aging out of the foster system. But trying to give them, our goal is really to give them hope in a future. And yeah, their life might have started out really bad, and their mom, could be in jail, dad could be in jail, but trying to get them in and keep the siblings together. Here in Hall County, 70% of our foster youth go out of country, or not out of country, out of county. So 70% go out of county. So to keep the sibling groups together is another goal of ours. So.
And I think that's really important because they've had enough trauma, and look, this is such a big problem. I mean, it's not a problem. I think what you're doing is fantastic. And I think it's part of the solving of the problem. But there are so many cultural issues and family issues, and really government's not going to be the one that fixes this. Although I'm really glad that our government is putting the money aside, and they realize, especially after the Parkland shooting, if people don't remember that, the shooter at Parkland was a foster kid, and he had found a foster mom, and she died of cancer, and he was 19 years old. He was not out of high school yet. Mm-hmm. And so he calls because he's having a bad time. He's depressed. He doesn't know what to do. And basically the state of Florida, which they've changed this law now, but at that time, the state of Florida said, you've aged out of the system. There's nothing we can do. And 2 weeks later, he went to his old high school, and he killed a number of people. And I'm not blaming. He is responsible for what he did.
Right. But
the system failed him. And then I think Florida added some stuff, and Georgia has now responded to do some stuff from the 18 to 24 range. And, I think what's great about what you're doing is the fact that you are creating a home environment that's permanent.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the average foster child bounces around from 7 to 11 different foster homes, and then they age out. And then what? Like 70% of the girls end up pregnant in the first year aging out. And boys end up getting in trouble, arrested. So it's just really not good, and we can do better. Our Georgia children deserve better than what has happened in the past. And, we are thankful for Governor Kemp. $20 million allocation in this tax fund. Last year in 2023, there was $10 million left on the table. So we're hoping that somebody listening today will want to partner with us and allocate their tax dollars to Roots and Wings Ranch.
So what do you need next? You need that. You need people to partner with you and allocate their tax dollars or give money or do whatever. But you also need some other things. What are some other things that you need?
Some other things other than tax allocations, donations are important. I would love to find somebody who has some land. And my husband always say, this is bigger than us. This is something that God planted in my soul 20-something years ago. So we definitely need some land. So we are fundraising to buy land. I would love for this to be in Hall County. That is our dream. So we're looking, we need about anywhere from 30 to 50 acres to get started for the second, version of what we're trying to do. The first thing is to get these kids who are aging out into a college or a trade school. Then the other phase is to have the ranch, like Eagle Ranch, like with the horses for trauma, and the housing to house these kids and keep the sibling groups together. So land is a big thing, and the fundraising.
So how can people help you?
They can call me at any time, and I'll give you my phone number. And if I don't know if you have that.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. My phone number is 678-516-6492. And you can also email me at julie@rootsandwingsranch.org.
Julie, thank you so much for being with us. And let's get back together again in a couple of months and see how you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.